So after about 10 days of Season 20 now, we're going to go over a Season 20 Legends tier list. We're going to go over kind of everything that goes from pubs to ranked, and it's going to be very based off my opinions, and I know a lot of people have different opinions on things, but we're going to go from D tier to S tier on my favourite Legends this season, and yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and if I go over your main and tell them they're bad, and tell you they're bad, obviously there's no Legend on this game that's bad. Every Legend is viable at a certain moment. Some are just more viable than others most of the time. So starting off with the D tier, we have 4 in this, and the first one's going to be Ballistic. Now Ballistic got a huge buff at the start of the season, but they times his like ult range by like 8. It went from like 13 seconds to like 90, which is pretty incredible, and his ult is good fun. But I just don't think he deserves any higher than D tier. I don't think his tactical is not great. His ult is alright, but it doesn't do enough for me to make it anywhere out of D tier. And if you think he does belong out of D tier, let me know why, because I just can't see a reason. So my second one in the D tier is going to be Seer. Now first of all, I just hate Seer in the first place because of how powerful he's been for seasons on seasons, and they didn't change him. So there might be a bit of that in this whole me saying he's quite bad, but he's just been nerfed so badly now that he is not that viable to use. The perks they gave him and upgrades, they just don't want him to be powerful again, so they didn't really do much. One of them is to like throw his ult further, and I mean, why would you didn't need to throw his ult further? Come on, just yeah, it might be the worst upgrade to be honest. But Seer for me, first of all, he just wound me up for a long time, and now he's just been nerfed into the ground, which I think is good, but yeah. For me, he's in D tier now. Third D tier legend is going to be Vantage. Now I think Vantage could be like the worst legend in the game. And I think if you were to like do a poll of the worst legend in the game, I think Vantage would actually be bottom of that poll if you like went community wise. First of all, she does have a place for some people that like to play her because she's actually really good at range. If you like playing that kind of support, play behind kind of like player, then she suits you perfectly. She did get a bit of her upgrades are kind of okay, but I don't think her. 2 of them actually improve her ult, and the best thing about her is that she can scan both rings now, and it is actually niche to her. She's the only legend in the game that can scan both rings at any time. Really good for shield XP as well, but for me, she's just not powerful enough to be anywhere out of D tier. So my final one is going to be Ashe. Now Ashe actually has a bit of movement about her, and I don't think, once again, she's not a bad legend. I just don't think she's good enough to be any higher than this. I really like her arc snare, and I thought the buff she'd have would be like a lot better than it is. It turns out that it's just not that strong, and she's still not that great. For me, she's just like a worse Wraith, and you have that Q that's okay. The Q is by far the best thing about her. And I just think a lot of the upgrades she got just aren't that good. They're kind of like you have to wipe a squad for them to be any use. So for me, she's just not that great still. So now into C tier. Now these legends are actually quite useful. I'm not saying that C tier and D tier is not even bad, but C tier is not bad at all. So I have 4 legends in this one again. Starting off, we're going to go with Newcastle. Now Newcastle, because of Season 20 and a lot of people got really good upgrades, Newcastle's is really lacking, I think. The one that Newcastle got that is really good, I think, is just when he heals people. It's actually his level 2 upgrade, not his first one, so when you get purple. He gets, the allies that he revive do regen to 75 health, but they do regen, they don't spawn with 75, so that makes a bit of a difference to me. He did get that slight buff there, but for me, it just wasn't enough to make him any better than C tier. And honestly, I actually enjoy playing Newcastle, and he's a really fun legend to play, but for me, C tier is just where he sits. Next up in C tier, we have Crypto. Now, Crypto's upgrades he got, one of them, his main one, is probably that he got extra range on his ultimate, which is when you actually EMP people, obviously, probably the main thing that Crypto can do. And in a way, it's actually kind of a nerf to Crypto, because he has to be even further away from the action to not get affected by it. So there's that, and this hasn't really improved him at all. The only thing that I think is done for him is that he has he can scan beacons, which means that he gets a lot of I can get Team Evo shield XP really easily. And honestly don't think that's enough to put him any higher than C tier. If you have the right team comp for him and you run like 2 really highly aggressive like Octane Pad, you can make it work, but I think it's just like not enough to make him higher than C tier for me. Next up we have Rampart. Now, although Sheila is one of the most fun things to use in the game, I still don't think the Rampart is that strong all round. I think she's really good at like defending some areas, but there's just better legends. I think Catalyst and Watson, probably Caustic as well, are all better at defending areas than Rampart is. So I don't really see where the place is that she has in this. So that's why she's down in C tier. Once again, Sheila and all of her upgrades pretty much point towards Sheila being better. And honestly, Sheila is great fun to use, but yeah. For me, C tier is about as high as Rampart can go. And finally in C tier, I'm going with Mirage. Now, although Mirage is honestly one of the best fighting legends 1v1 in the game, people who he can confuse anyone if you use him right. I just don't think he's good enough to be any higher than C tier still. I have no other reasons. The kit he has is just really fun, and I have his heirloom. I have like 3,000 kills of Mirage, and I love using him. I just can't be putting him any higher than this because there's just legends that are better. He is one of the most fun legends to use. His new upgrades didn't really change his kit at all. It just made him have more of the same. So it's one of them. It's this tough one, but for me, he's the last one in my C tier here. So I'm really glad that I decided to get new gameplay on this season for all these legends. I didn't want to just like guess because I didn't use everyone. I've got a lot of kills. I've got like 2,000 kills this season with Loba, and I'm trying to grind kills out. So doing this with other legends, it did give me a good insight. And honestly, Fuse was actually in my C tier, but he's now going to be in the top of my B tier. The first of my B tier. B tier has six legends in there for me. And it's kind of like the average category now, but they're pretty fun to use kind of ones. But honestly, I had an absolute banger game, which is the one in the background now, and where I was just running around with pretty much an Eva and a wingman. But this last little kill that I get in a second, it was just the most satisfying Fuse play in the world. And honestly, it was just great. And they actually had a Fuse as well. So you can see that I have like 3 arc stars here, so I just smash all 3 arc stars at them. And this whole clip and gameplay just made me like decide that in the right hands, Fuse is an absolute animal. Also, he does occasionally get used in like high level competitive, like in scrims and stuff. And you can see that for like a triple Skynade here, not really like Fuse related really, but yeah, just satisfying as hell. And as you can see, I just killed this last guy with wingman, and honestly, that play was just absolutely beautiful. I ended up getting like a 17 kill game. I almost got 20 bomb. Yeah, but it was he made me enjoy Fuse even more, and he got into the B tier from this. So on to the next one in the B tier, we have the big old Gibby. Now, it kind of pains me to put him in the B tier because he is very good, but he has a couple of things really bad going for him. One, he is absolutely bloody massive, and he does have to be because of how powerful he could be. But honestly, he's very good. In the right hands, he's very strong. The bubble is very strong in the right ways. But at the moment, the whole meta, how everyone plays, it just doesn't suit how Gibby plays at all. And if you look in the background here, this kill was so... there was a Wraith that was just kind of annoying me, and I just wanted to kill her like with an ult. So I managed to crack her here and shut the ult down, hid behind the door, and got lucky and actually killed her. But yeah, Gibby is great fun. His new upgrades were not... They do help, but I don't think they add any power to him really. It's more like... They can, with the more powerful legends, they couldn't actually make them really powerful, otherwise they would just fly into the meta. So what they've done is kind of balanced them out, which I quite like. So he sits in the B tier, but he is still very good. So another one that could be a little controversial, but what's a tier list without being a bit controversial, right? Watson. So Watson is also going to be in my B tier. I don't think, once again, she's bad. I think she has a place, but I think Catalyst is just a better version of her in a way. I think her buffs she got with upgrades are actually really strong. There's a good few things you can do. You can have 2 of her ults now. You can also have her ult like turn everything you have into arc stars, which is cool. There's a lot of cool little bits that she can do now, but in the end I just still think that Catalyst is better at kind of holding down areas, and I think the Watson is a pretty average legend. She's very fun to use, but for me she still sits in that B tier area. So next up is one that hurts quite a lot, and it's going to be Loba. So this season with Loba, I've got just under 2,000 kills already. I'm probably like top 10 at the Loba at the moment, like kills wise in season 20. Maybe higher than that, I don't know, but I'm going to try and end up on a very high leaderboard this season. And this video is kind of making this go a bit slower, but we got to keep up the YouTube grind, and we've got to do what we can at the same time to get Loba kills. But yeah, Loba, B tier for me. She is good, and I think her upgrade actually made her a lot better because just of one thing. She has her blue thing, her blue perk. You can choose a one that you get more range and more height, and it really does increase the range and height incredibly, and it is really good. And also her second perk, she can get 3 of her ultimate things rather than 2. Very strong as well, but I don't think she can be any higher than B tier, to be honest. She's a very good support character, and obviously the support like bins that you can pick up now are very strong. If you haven't tried them out or find any, you should, because you obviously get like 3 bats in some of them, and it is really strong. So my next one in the B tier is going to be Lifeline. Now Lifeline received a couple of really nice upgrades, and she can now self-revive, she can now spawn in red weapons, and both of these things are really strong and actually do help the team out a little bit. But I don't think that she's still got the power that the highest tier of legends on this game have. I still think she's really good, and honestly I don't think a Lifeline, there's like a better teammate to have than Lifeline. Say if you're playing pubs and you're playing duos, I think a Lifeline would be the best teammate you could get, but I just don't think that she could be any higher than B tier. It does upset me a bit because she was my original main on this game. She was the first person I ever got like 1,000 kills with, so yeah, heart goes out to that. But yeah, for now she is sat in the B tier. So I'm really sorry about this one, because Octane is honestly one of the best legends in the game, if you want to have fun. And yeah, for me he is, honestly he's amazing, but he is sitting in the average tier for me because he's just not got much going for him. He got a couple of upgrades, but he can basically just move a bit faster again. And there's nothing he does that's kind of team-based, to be honest. He can chain 2 pads together now, which is a pretty nice upgrade, but I just don't think he deserves any higher than B tier. He needs to be like chained with someone else like Revenant, like his old ult worked really well, and it just doesn't really work on his own. Octane is a legend that, like, fun-wise, amazing, but as like a team-based ranked pubs user, I don't think he's the best, so he's going to stay in B tier for me. So moving on to the A tier, we have 7 in this tier, starting off with Wraith. Now Wraith's always been very high level. She has the phase, which is her Q, which makes her invincible for a few seconds, and that is always going to be powerful as long as it's in the game. She is very, very good on this game still, and her upgrades actually did make her a bit better. Her tactical warm-up time is like slightly quicker now. She got a couple things where she could make her ult come back faster, and that's the kind of things that Wraith needs really, because otherwise she'll be too powerful. But on overall, she's still an A tier. I don't think she'll always be an A tier or S tier, to be honest. But yeah, Wraith for me. Also, my main have like 12-ish thousand kills of her, so yeah, there's that as well. So the next one's going to be Bloodhound, and I think Bloodhound could actually be near the S tier, but I'm going to put him in the A tier for now. Now my main reason for this is, the main reason he's like a lot more picked this season is because the digi threat is kind of gone from subs, so wall hacks become better. Overall, his actual kit and his upgrades didn't get much better than they actually already were, and I feel like I'm on console and the 120 using his ult is an absolute mess at the moment. It makes your whole screen go fuzzy because it's just not quite I don't know, it's not quite ready for that, I don't think yet. But yeah, but overall I think Bloodhound is still very, very good. Maybe a contender for S tier, but for now sitting in A tier for me. Next up we have Mad Maggie. Now Mad Maggie's upgrades are actually really, really good. She had a upgrade on her ult, and the ult upgrade is honestly, it's loads better. Her whole ball actually got updated as well, so she got like a buff, and then she got good upgrades as well. 2 of her tacticals on the second one is really, really nice as well, and honestly, she is very, very good now. She could be near S tier as well. I'm going to stick her in the A tier again on this one, but honestly Maggie is a high contender for this. One of the best characters in the game now. Also very fun to use just because that ball gives you the speed, you got a bit of movement there, and overall really, really good to have on your team. So next up we have Horizon in the A tier. Now Horizon is used to be an S tier, sorry, and honestly she's been nerfed like quite a bit. Her upgrades are probably one of the worst set of upgrades in the game. They didn't really change anything, they just lower her cooldowns a little bit, but with all of her recent nerfs, and she doesn't really move very well in her tactical anymore, I just don't think she deserves to be S tier anymore. I think there's better legends in the game now. She's still very, very good, and a lot of good players play Horizon, but yeah, for me she's down in the A tier now. Next up in the A tier we have Valk. Now Valk had some really nice upgrades recently. She's basically been put back to like her pre-nerf state where she had a bit more fuel in the jetpack and she could move a lot better. And honestly she's a lot more fun to play now. Her movement's kind of there and it's like back. And honestly her ultimate is like something that I think every legend could have that ultimate and they'd be impressed because it is such a good ultimate to have. Next up is a Stinky Man Caustic himself. Now he is in contention for S tier here because he is used at like quite high levels at the moment. He is like quite popular because he can attack and defend very, very well, and there's not many legends that can do it as well as Caustic. But you know, he has a bit of downside when you actually have to play with the big Stinky Man himself. So for me, he sits in the A tier still. He's still got the massive ass hitbox and he's still a bit slow, but overall he's still a very good legend to play. Next up I have Revenant. This is the final one in my A tier. So Revenant I think is very good. I think his ultimate is really, really strong, but I just don't think his tactical is great. The movement wise it's okay, but there's like no direction to it. It doesn't really tell you like where you're going to land either. So you've got to like play a lot of Revenant to learn how to actually use it really well, I think. And honestly, someone that doesn't play Revenant a lot, I can't put him any higher than A tier. I do think he's very, very good, and I think his recent changes and changes and buffs, have been very, very good. But I just don't think he deserves that S tier rank yet, although you do see a lot of good Revenant players. So starting off with my 4 of S tier characters / legends is going to be Bang. I just don't think that Bang can't be in this position. She was already S tier before this season, and then she got given a couple of nice upgrades where she can now like heal in her smoke, and her pings targets when they get when they shoot her when they're in the smoke. that is a pretty crazy upgrade, to be honest, and honestly, they just made Bang really, really strong, and she was already strong. Obviously, they nerfed her slightly because of Digi-threats, but they also improved her. They made Bang worse, but it made Bang even harder to kill, so it's an interesting one. It's a very difficult one to choose if that's a nerf or a buff, to be honest. But for me, Bang is actually one of the strongest characters in the game, if not the strongest. Probably one of the highest used in ranked and competitive at the moment, and I don't think she can be anywhere else but S tier. Next up in the S tier, we have Conduit. Now, Conduit is one of them legends that I don't think she can't be with the abilities she has right now. She can literally heal herself, and she can heal her teammates within seconds, and I don't think that there's anything that can beat that right now. I know she's had nerfs, but I still think she's way in S tier, and she's still very, very viable at the moment. So she's got to stay up there for now. Hopefully they do something else. Her upgrades aren't great, to be honest. They just kind of add a little bit of what she had out before her nerf, so she's quite balanced at the moment, I'd say, but still a S tier legend for me. Next one's going to be Catalyst. Now, Catalyst also has a ability that's kind of only she can do, and that's to block doors. Her ability to block doors is just incredible, to be honest. And then she also has the spike, she has the Dark Veil, which the Dark Veil is also very, very strong. And although she has also been nerfed in recent seasons, I still think she's up there with one of the best legends in the game. She also has like the ring scan, so it just adds her ability in like comp and rank to be even higher because she can scan rings. And honestly, she is very, very good. She's actually underrated, I think, still. I think no one really plays her in pubs, and I don't really know why that is, because she is so strong. And my final S tier legend is going to be Pathfinder. Now, this is quite a controversial one, I think, but he can just do everything now. His recent upgrades made it so he can scan either ring, whichever one you want to choose at the time, which makes him so strong. His movement's really good. He got another upgrade where he gets his grapple back on knock. If you get a knock, you can now grapple in and out. He's just been made really, really strong, and it's a really good thing, because Path's never been one of the strongest legends in the game, always been one of the most fun legends, but never one of the real strong ones, and I think finally he actually has a place in the S tier for now. A lot of people probably wouldn't say it, wouldn't agree with this, but the only downside I have is his hitbox is pretty big. But overall, he is still very, very good, and he can also help out ranked teams really, really well. His zip lines are really good, and right now I don't think he has any negatives really, apart from maybe that hitbox. But we can get over that. It's Pathfinder, he's great fun. So as you can see on screen, that is my tier list. That is the 25 legends we just went over, and it did take a little while, and I had to get clips for all of them, and I'd actually changed my mind about a couple while getting the clips. This season I'm trying to grind out Loba kills, so using all the legends actually kind of gave me a bit of insight. It actually kind of helps you out when you play a lot of legends and understand them a bit more. So if you enjoyed this tier list, let me know in the comments. If you agree, disagree, let me know. Anything in the comments helps out the video. It gets a bit more traction if you do it. Give it a like, dislike if you didn't like it at all. I don't mind. But cheers guys, thanks for watching, and peace out for now.